kids are getting pretty wild in there, man. Is that safe?
Yeah, they're fine. I've got their keys.
Everybody, we're going to start off where we left off yesterday, talking about the American War and the
Hey, have a beer, man. You deserve it.
It's not worth it. Underage drinking risks everything you're working for.
All right. Well, welcome to the Safe Streets Coalition meeting. We're here to make Topeka and Shawnee County the safest capital community. So let's make some applause for that to get it started. All right. Now we do have. We have any guests here with us today? Okay, everybody's a member. Awesome, perfect. All right, so that's wonderful. We do have a new member to announce, Charles Kitt with the City Attorney's Office. Give him a round of applause. And now please welcome Cindy Patton, who's going to share the tip of the month with us. And she loves applause as well, really does. The tip gets better, yeah.
Thank you very much. The October tip of the month, to go along with our word of the month, the character word of the month is initiative, which we use a lot when we're doing Champions of Character, because usually the person who has done something kind of extraordinary starts with initiative. They see a problem and they do something about it, and that's the definition: recognizing and doing what needs to be done before I am asked to do it. And so the tip of the month from Safe Streets is when community members and leaders take the initiative to better our neighborhoods, we all become strengthened. So be sure and join a neighborhood group, report crime, take a vested interest in your area, and you can make your community a better and safer place to live. So I'll segue into the champion of character for this month. It is Keith Fine. So Keith, would you come up? And would the character recognition group come up? We have the chief and we have Shelley Bueller. Come over here because we're going to let you have a microphone. So Keith, we're recognizing today as a champion of character for the Running Free program, and I'll let the chief tell you about that.
Keith, as the strength of our nation is dependent upon the health and safety of its communities, the strength of our community is dependent upon the character of its citizens. We, the Character Council of Kansas, in conjunction with the Topeka City of Character and Safe Streets Coalition of Topeka and Shawnee County, recognize Keith Fine. Keith is recognized for his initiative to begin the Running Free program at the Kansas Juvenile Correctional Complex. The program participants with mentors, running shoes, and snacks. They train for distant races and then mirror events with the community inside the facility. Keith also demonstrates his generosity by using his business to sponsor donations to various community agencies. He is selfless with his time and seeks to meet the need wherever he sees them, especially among the disadvantaged. He demonstrates initiative, selflessness, and generosity. These characteristics make Keith Fine a champion of character.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and we sure appreciate the nominations. So anybody out here, you can make a nomination for a champion of character. Be sure, and you can go directly to our website at kansascharacter.org and make a nomination, or you can get forms from Safe Streets. So there's lots of ways for you to do that. So hopefully you will do that, and so that we can continue this program. Thank you.
Almost. Right. A couple more things. All right. Thank you so much, Cindy. And Keith, another round of applause. How about that? All right, now we have a little bit of business to get taken care of. First of all, if you'll please sign in on the yellow sheets on your table so we know we're here and we can get you all the information about today's meeting. We'd really appreciate it. And we're looking for, we need to approve the minutes from our last meeting, so we'll open the floor up for a motion to do that, to approve the minutes. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. And now we'll move on to Christy Pankratz, the Executive Director of Safe Streets, for a little staff update. And she loves applause, too. She really does.
Hi, guys. It's great to see everyone here today. We're kind of playing around with the room setup to get some better feed for City 4, too. So hopefully you like this one, and we'll get used to this setup. But Safe Streets has been very, very busy following National Night Out. The number of neighborhood watches that we are seeing is going gangbusters, and we like that. We like to see all these groups that are forming. So if you are interested in getting your block together, if you're part of a homeowners association, apartment, and you'd like to get together, give us a call. That's what we're here for. We want everybody to be connected and just aware of what's going on crime trend-wise, and just to get to know your neighbors. That's really kind of to the heart of our mission. A couple of things that we have going on is we have a meeting for retailers the second Wednesday of every month. This is for loss prevention officers primarily and store managers. So if that's something you're interested in, please let us know and we'll get you included in that list. We have a safe property management. Any property owners, landlords in the mix here? Couple. This is a great training for folks who are either experienced or new to the game. We're introducing some different topics such as human trafficking, how to identify signs of that, how to deal with people who have mental health issues, as well as drug trends and other things to look for as far as landlords go. So that's a great training. If you're interested, we have some materials. Please see Judy in the back, and we'll get you signed up for that. Drug trends. This is one of the presentations that Safe Streets and our parent agency, PARS, is giving a lot of presentations on this topic lately, looking at what's going on as far as both nationally as well as locally. So if you're looking for either an hour presentation or an all-day training, we can do that. We do have one scheduled for our office on October 20th. Lynn Smith with our office primarily does that, as well as myself and Dana Vernon, our licensed addictions counselor. And we also have a substance abuse task force meeting coming up. So we're keeping busy and encourage you if you have any questions or would like to get involved or interested in any presentations like that, that's what we're here for. So thank you all for being here.
You guys are catching on with the applause. Good job, good job. All right. And now please welcome, with thunderous applause, Officer Eubanks with the Topeka Police Department here to tell us about our crime stats.
Hello, I'm Officer Eubanks. I'm currently assigned to the Community Policing Unit, so I'm here to talk to you guys today about the crime stats here in Topeka. So just real briefly on the violent crime, if you look versus last month, we're down overall on violent crimes. Year to date, we're up on homicides and a few others, but the big thing is overall we're down on violent crimes, and it's trending down from last month. So that's where we're at on violent crimes. The big part to talk about is property crimes so far this year. As you guys can see, if you look over here real quick, we're up quite a bit on a few property crimes, but the previous month we are down, okay? So we're moving in the right direction. We're moving into a busier time of the year regarding vehicle break-ins and burglaries and things like that. But the thing to look at is that we're down overall. The big ones here, auto theft, vehicle break-ins, and then theft of license plates. That comes down to a lot of issues that private citizens can take care of themselves. A lot of cars are broken into because they're left unlocked, windows down. Sometimes they're left with the cars running. And just so you guys know, that is against the city ordinance to leave your vehicle running. We're moving towards a colder part of the season, so we're going to see that more and more. But we need to make sure that as citizens, we're not setting ourselves up to be victimized by criminals, because they're all about crimes of opportunity. So if you leave your car unlocked, they're going to go through it. If you leave your car running, chances are that your car is going to get stolen. A big thing regarding that, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else, is I leave my garage door opener inside my personal vehicle, and I'm sure a lot of people here do, and that's something to reconsider doing, even leaving it in your parking or in your driveway or even out in a parking lot, because a lot of us, if we leave our car, unlocked, or someone breaks in and they get your garage door opener, also inside your car you usually keep your registration, which has your home address. So if they have your garage door opener and your home address, what are you setting yourself up for? Your home being burglarized. So those are the things that we can do to kind of prevent or curb vehicle thefts and burglaries. The other one is license plate thefts, which ties in with all these as well. But license plate thefts, we can help mitigate those. The community policing unit has license plate screws that you guys can come by our office and pick up. Sometimes we run events where we hand out the screws. We'll actually put them on the cars for you, and you can get them at the police department as well. Lastly, I was asked to touch on the clown issue around the city. I just want to refer you guys to Topeka Municipal Code 9.40.050, which is regarding the wearing a mask, bulletproof vest, improvised body armor, or mask to conceal one's identity during unlawful activities. The big subsection here is that a mask or other device with the specific intent to hide one's identity during the commission or unlawful activity, or with specific intent to intimidate or threaten another person. So what that means is that no, it's not illegal to walk up and down the street wearing a mask or concealing your identity. It becomes illegal when they are partaking in other criminal activity. So if they are chasing people around or something like that, that's when we have an issue, or if they're lurking around buildings or behind businesses. So if you see someone wearing a clown costume or a mask, or even a ski mask at that, but they're around businesses, convenience stores, homes, that's when you guys need to call us. If they're just walking up and down the street, then we're not criminal at that point. But just be vigilant and watch what they're doing, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Eubanks. All right, and now from the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office, please welcome Deputy Ashley Previty, who's going to be from the Offender Registration Unit. All right.
Thank you.
Oh. Applause, please.
Like he said, my name's Ashley Previty. I run our Offender Registration Unit for the Sheriff's Office. Our unit is small. It is myself and a detective, and then 2 civilian legal assistants that help us with our paperwork and data entry. Currently in Shawnee County, we keep track of and register 1,130 registered offenders for the state of Kansas. That includes sex offenders, violent offenders, and drug offenders. The majority of those are sex offenders. What that entails is the offender is required to come in by state law 4 times a year and update their registry. We call it a registration update. They'll come in, we ask for vehicle information, address, phone number, any jobs, any schooling, places that they may stay more frequently than their home address. On occasion, we'll ask for associates, and then we register them. They sign a paper saying what they gave us was true and accurate, and they're on their way. Along with those 4-month updates, we do conduct address verifications. I know the police department's getting ready to do a operation on tomorrow, on Thursday, where they're going to check all the registered sex offenders in the city limits for us. So what that entails is an officer will actually go out to the offender's address that they have given us, verify that that offender does live there. If they do, then fine, they'll check them off as they're compliant and go on to the next one. If we get information saying that that offender no longer lives at that address, they'll bring it back. Either their detectives or our detectives will take a look at it, determine if the information we got that day was not accurate and they do actually live there and people were just scared and lied for them, or if they don't live there, we can file a case for failing to register appropriately, which is a new felony charge for them. With the Halloween coming up, I wanted to touch on there are no restrictions for our sex offenders in the state of Kansas. So they are allowed to have their porch light on, they can pass out candy. So the citizens need to be aware of that. They can go to the Sheriff's Office webpage, which is shawneesheriff.org. There is a link to Offender Watch, which is the program we use to register people. It is updated the minute I hit save when the offender comes into our office. So if people want to be vigilant about where they're going to take their children trick-or-treating, you can go online, do a radius search of where you live. It can be a block, it can be a mile, it can be 2 miles, and it'll show you where the offenders live within that radius, so that you're aware of who you're going to go to, whose door you're going to knock on and get candy from. Anybody have any questions about offenders that I can answer? That's all I have.
Thank you, Deputy Previty. Really appreciate it. All right, now we have a little update from our friends at the Jayhawk Theater. Please welcome John Holchek and Jeff Carson up here.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Jeff Carson. I own Gizmo Pictures, and you might recall that we bought the old Thatcher building downtown at 112 East 8th Street, which used to be Crane Publishing, and built in 1888, and a beautiful old building. And I was a part of the Shawnee County Historical Society for a while, and through all of that, I learned a whole lot about historic buildings like this one that we're in, and I'm so grateful that people in this community really do love the history of this town. And I was involved with the Jayhawk Theater about 5 years ago and was asked to join the board, and really thought that, boy, of all the old buildings in town, that one is a really critical building to save. So I've been working as the president of the board for the last year and a half, and very excited to announce that we've hired John Holchek from the McPherson Opera House in McPherson to be our executive director. So without further ado, I'd like John to say a few minutes and a few things, and you've got about 3.5 minutes, so hang on, it's going to go fast. Thanks.
Honestly, it's hard for me to be short, but I first saw the Jayhawk in 2002. It was I had just moved back to Kansas and been hired as the director of development for the McPherson Opera House. I needed to raise $8.5 million. I raised $10.5 million, but we were charter members of the Kansas Historic Theaters Association, and the first meeting I went to was at the Jayhawk, and we had our, and I'm going to tell a quick Doug Jernigan story. Doug was the president then. You send out an email, does anyone have special dietary needs? And I wrote back, yeah, I have to have a good bottle of red wine and a steak or I'll die, right? That's a joke. But when I came, everybody had their box of lunch, and there was my steak and my bottle of red wine. So go Doug Jernigan. I'm also going to, this is a craven thing to ingratiate myself with the boss, but I will tell you I would not be here if Jeff Carson hadn't become president, because he's broken the project wide open. And had he not, he had to make some difficult decisions and live, excuse me, and live by them, and it is just, it's like a wave that's going on. Anyway, I was a director of, I guess I have the Hillary Clinton problem. I do not have pneumonia, I'm healthy. I was hired by the McPherson Opera House in 2002. Again, it was an $8.5 million project. I raised the money, then I programmed it for 6 years because I went to USC Film School, so I got show business in my, kind of in my bones. But Bernd Forster, and this is going to be true here too, Bernd Forster, who was the dean of the Kansas State Architecture and Landscape School, came and visited the Opera House. That was before I was there when it was still a derelict mess. And he said this will be the most important development project in the city. He didn't say downtown, he said in the city. And it's been true. I'm also a member of the League of Historic American Theaters. I have seen restored historic theaters all over the United States of America, and it's a story that plays over and over again. The Downtown Historic Theater gets rehabbed, and that's really the key to redeveloping downtown. So I'm going to say there is no more important development project in Topeka right now than the Jayhawk. And I will tell you, I said I've been in a lot of theaters. How many of you were there for a movie at least? Oh, okay. Now, what you didn't see when you were there for a movie, because you weren't looking around, it was dark, it is a fabulously beautiful venue. And we are going to introduce a whole new generation of Topekans to what a performance venue ought to be. And once we get it up and running, we hope through creative programming, and Jeff's got some great ideas about reaching out to the homeless. You know, come down, we'll do a free movie once a month. I mean, we really want to cater to as many demographics as we can, although I'll tell you, being an impresario is not necessarily that easy, because you got to find your audience. I guarantee we're going to do good stuff, though, in a fabulous location. And one final thing. I think you people, maybe in Topeka, have become a little bit blasé. This is really a great town. You got great stuff going on. I mean, I'm really impressed. I am. And you know, McPherson's like a downtown. McPherson is always hopping. But I think what you've done on the streetscapes and some of the other projects, you should be like this one. You should be really proud of yourselves. And I mean, to heck with Lawrence, man. Lawrence has got nothing on you guys. I'm telling you, that is the truth. So be proud of your city. Get ready. We're going to make a big announcement in a little over a week about a choice of an architect and contractor. It's really an A-team. It's going to make this project very real. I have a feeling that, I mean, it's going to be expensive, folks, but I have a feeling that the money's there, and I think it's going to happen quickly. I think a lot of stuff is going to happen downtown that's going to, like, have people rolling their eyes up in their head and go, oh my, look, see what's happened. So, and I've had such a warm welcome from everybody. Thank you, Topekans, and thank you, Topeka. And I'm thrilled to death to be doing this job.
Thank you, John. And for anyone who says you guys have an impossible journey ahead of you, I remember back in the mid-90s when Topeka Civic Theater was right over here, and this place was a burned-out shell. And now Topeka Civic Theater is something to be really, really incredibly proud of. This place here is something to be really, really incredibly proud of. And the Jayhawk Theater, Topeka is a community that makes these things happen. We're going to do it for you. So give them another round of applause. I definitely appreciate that. All right, now we're going to be having a wonderful presentation here for our business panel. So if you'll please welcome our panelists. We have Cindy Patton with Patton & Patton Law. We have Morgan Chilson with the Topeka Capital Journal. And we have Melissa Jarbo with the Military Veteran Project right up here. All right. Now, if any of you guys have questions as we go through this, please raise your hand, get my attention. I'll bring the mic over so we can get the questions asked so City 4 can hear. And how about Sean over there? He's been doing a wonderful job with us here for City 4. Making sure everybody gets to see this. All right. We're going to start our first question. Our first question is actually for Cindy. Cindy, what can businesses do to identify core values that they want to see among their employees?
Well, I think the important thing is to have a stakeholder meeting where you get everybody together that's part of your organization and talk about what are your core values. And we've done that as a city. We got together a bunch of stakeholders and talked to them about what words of the month, do we want for Topeka, and that has created a lot of interesting things. We have a new agreement with the Topeka Capital Journal to promote our word of the month, so businesses are going to be able to again be sponsors for words of the month. The Capital Journal will be carrying those, so we're really excited about that. But an individual business can do that same thing. Get together, talk about what are your core values, and then you have to decide, how am I going to make that part of our regular run-of-the-mill everyday course, so that those values are reinforced with the employees and with the management, so that it just becomes an integral part of the community. And so I think the first thing you have to do is get a stakeholder meeting, talk with the people in your organization, and decide what are your core values.
And thank you. Our next question is for Morgan. As a business writer for the Capital Journal, do you see a concern for ethics and character among business?
Absolutely. One of the cool things about my job is that I get to visit with entrepreneurs who have one employee or maybe none, and also talk with business leaders like Security Benefit, where there are hundreds of people in the building. And across the board, the first thing that popped into my head with regard to ethics was they all say, off the record, Morgan, don't print this. Can you please, we need employees who will actually show up for work. And that is a basic character value. That's about integrity and doing what you say you're going to do. And that's something that the Topeka City of Character works with in the schools as part of their education. But it translates into businesses because they need, first off, their employees to have good character. But then they also need to show good character among management, which sets the tone for the entire business.
All right, and our next question is for Melissa. If you could tell us the core values identified by your organization and how you promote these values.
Thank you. Well, the Military Veteran Project was created in the face of adversity, led by my husband, Staff Sergeant Jamie Jarboe, who even in the midst of the last few days of his life, never lost his unwavering support for America and his fellow citizens. And so I would say that the core values that we took from that as the Military Veteran Project would be selfless service to one another. Now, we're a Military Veteran Project organization. We serve veterans and active duty component soldiers. But what we're looking at is civilians and everybody as a whole. We're a unity effort. America was built by the old creed, united we stand, divided we fall. And so we push out that selfless service with the Military Veteran Project. We also look at leading by example. So if our volunteers are coming to us, we see if they're self-starters. We try to find people that are going to show up, but they're also dependable, flexible, and understand that we are neutral. We are here to selflessly serve those people in our community and also our veterans with our services for the Military Veteran Project.
All right, and our next question is for Cindy. Why should businesses emphasize good character?
One of the things that projects that the Kansas Department of Education did was they created focus groups and asked, what do you want to see in students who are graduating from our schools? And that was a really unique approach that I thought Dr. Watson had to go out and ask businesses in the community, what do we want to produce as far as our schools are concerned? And what they did is they went to businesses, they went to their own stakeholders as teachers, and those groups identified persistence, commitment, engagement, and self-motivation as the core values that they wanted to see in students graduating from our schools. But I think, that kind of says, okay, well, that's what the community wants, but why? And I think the reason why is because there is actually a huge return on good character. There was a book that was written by Fred Keel called Return on Character by Harvard Business Review Press, and they did a study on CEOs, the top management, who had good character. And they found out that CEOs with good character in their management team had a 9.25% return on their assets, whereas those who were self-focused had a 1.93 return on their assets. So how's that for your bottom line? By improving behaviors that reflected 4 character habits that they were looking at of leadership, they found out that they could improve their character ratings and contribute to stronger organizational results. And those 4 character traits were identified by this study as integrity, responsibility, forgiveness, and compassion. And those traits were defined behaviorally as well. So what they found was that those behaviors led to highly engaged workforce because the workers felt like an integral part of the organization and its success.
And our next question is for Morgan. Can you take just a little bit of time to explain how character applies to journalism?
Oh, and I know everybody in here rolled their eyes and said, character and journalists, right? This is something, I went into journalism because I truly hate injustice, and I felt like it's one way to go in and explore something and really look at where things are unfair and bring things to light. And I think that we get kind of a slanted view of journalism, particularly in the ugliest political season that I have ever seen in my life. And I do think national media is a little bit more competitive to get the story, that 24 news hour cycle, things that have happened in journalism in the last couple of decades have increased the number of mistakes that are made in our field. But most of the journalists that I work with on a local level constantly ask themselves about ethics and whether they're being biased in their coverage. We all, every single one of us, bring bias to what we do. I mean, whether it's someone who looks at me and wonders why I dress the way that I do, or what kind of car I drive, whatever it is that we were raised are those issues that we have to face in what we do every day and how we look at things. And as journalists, it's really in our faces a lot. I mean, nobody hesitates to pick up the phone and call me and say, Morgan, that article was completely slanted. Why didn't you cover this side of it? And instead of being angry at those kinds of questions, most of the journalists I know, after a minute maybe, will step back and say, you know, how did I look at this in a bad way? Was I too hurried? Did I really go in with an idea of what the story should be as opposed to what it really is? And I just think that everything in our job, I mean, it is out there every day to look at a story from every single angle. And so we have to really look at those characteristics that bring about fairness and justice and a lot of other good character traits.
Very good. Thank you. And Cindy, what does Patten & Patten do to foster good character principles among its employees?
Well, it's another industry that people question the ethics of some of the members of the law community. And I suppose that's why it's so important that character be in the conversation. And I think at Patten & Patten, that has always been a part of the conversation, particularly with my background working for Topeka City of Character for a number of years. But we identified about 4 core values at Patten & Patten. They were hospitality, customer service. We train our employees when they come in the door. They don't actually they don't answer a phone until they've read the book Raving Fans, which focuses on customer service. We have policies where we offer people something to drink when they come in, and we always have candy available. So, you know, it's simple little things like that that foster hospitality at our law firm. Our other core values are respect and compassion. As a group, we have good listeners in our firm. We return phone calls as a policy within 24 hours, which is also another thing that people complain about lawyers about. They never get a phone call back from their lawyer. And the same is true with emails. We respond within 24 hours. And, you know, when people come into a law office, they're stressed. And most of the time, they've got a big problem. And they're looking for a lawyer to help them out. And so I think respect and compassion are both very important qualities that we foster at Patten & Patten. And I know this sounds like a commercial, but we take that seriously. And we have a very diverse group of clients from all different walks of life. Because of the type of work that we do with representing people who are injured in workers' compensation and auto accidents and personal injury, most of the time we're representing the little guy against the big insurance companies, and they are very frightened with what has happened to them and how are they going to pay their medical bills. And I know people sometimes say, you know, that area of law is filled with ambulance chasers and who are in it for the buck, but I see a lot of hurting people who are in very much in need of help in dealing with insurance companies who are interested in denying their claim rather than providing them with benefits that they need. And then I do particularly family law. I think the area of that needs to happen is for the focus of the parents to be on their kids. That's why I do family law, because I care about kids. And trying to help people work through their anger with their spouse and focus on how can we co-parent these kids effectively after this divorce is over is a very important quality that I bring to the table when I'm representing people. I also do probate law, which involves people who are very stressed out with the loss of a loved one, and we do our best to make sure that people are cared for and that they have the support they need to get through that time, and also to try to help people with family issues that have been there for a long time before they ever hit the probate process, and trying to help them get through it and still talk to each other after it's over with. So those are some of the core values that we have at Patton & Patton, and we strive to make sure that that's an integral part of our law practice.
Thank you. And then we have a question here for each one of you. So we'll start with Melissa and kind of work our way down here. How could individuals promote a positive culture and atmosphere in their community?
Oh, this one excites me, ladies and gentlemen. There's so many self-starters and motivators in this room today. You know, what I would say, what I try to push out is good old-fashioned values, what my grandma and grandpa taught me. And that's the golden rule. You treat people the way you want to be treated. It's pretty simple. And you push that out, and it's amazing what you get back. But not only that, is you service before self. When you're able to go out and serve others, it is self-serving. It helps you in some way, shape, or form feel good about yourself. We also have the upcoming Military Relations Council. One thing that I saw in Topeka I wanted to help and support with is a military-civilian divide. We have a lot of great military organizations here locally. We know Washburn University just created a vet center for our younger veterans coming home from war, and it's their own little private area at Washburn University. We know Washburn Tech has some other similar availabilities there, but we need to unite everybody as a whole. So we were able to go to the Chamber of Commerce, and the Chamber of Commerce is now creating a Military Relations Council. Our first luncheon will be October 19th. This is where we can bring in the civilians and the military together to unite in the Topeka area to talk about what we all have to offer one another and work together for the greater common good of our Topeka community. So I'm very excited about that. But then, of course, I have to say we also have the upcoming Topeka Veterans Parade and Salute Our Heroes Festival, which we're bringing patriotism to Topeka on a whole new level Saturday, November 5th. And that's going to be downtown at our state capitol from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And everybody is welcome to attend that and just be proud of where we come from, whether it's Topeka, whether it's America, wherever you come from, just come out and help support one another. So.
Well, I'm really excited about one of the things that I saw. We got a pamphlet at NetReach yesterday, and Joan Wagnon and the YWCA is sponsoring a community conversation on race, and I hope everybody will find their particular area. I think they've got 4 or 5 different locations set up for the next month with a community conversation about race, and I think that's going to be very important in our community, and I sure hope everybody is going to attend one of those. I know at NetReach, we had a community officer there yesterday who was just on fire for his job. I want to tell the chief, the guy that's out at NetReach is amazing. And he was encouraging all of the people to start coming to the NIA meetings. And, he said they tended to have, a group of white old people that were in that high crest NIA, and they came and they were the only people that were there, and there were a lot of people with stake in that community who were not there. And so I think it's very important for everybody to get together and to have those conversations. It's in small groups that we get to know each other and we get past stereotypes and anger and hatred, and we get to know people as people. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that we can do as a community, is to talk to each other in groups like this that we're in today, with that focus that we'll have with the YWCA. That opportunity, I hope everybody takes advantage of that. But I think there are a lot of great things happening in Topeka, and I think you're right. We think down on ourselves. We think, we're not that great a community, but I think we are. And the more we have an opportunity to talk to each other, the more that we'll understand each other and have an even better community.
don't like going at the end on this. I think that one of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to paraphrase, which you'd think I look at it every day on my desk, I should know it, but is that more and more you'll find that the impossible task is a hard decision waiting to be made. And I think that a lot of what we have to deal with here in Topeka involves some really hard conversations, not just in Topeka, nationally, internationally, and I think you have to be willing to ask those questions. Recently, I asked my 13-year-old son a question about my parenting, and I remember as I asked it, I thought, you do really not want to hear this answer. And I was completely right. I did not want to hear that answer, but he was also completely right in what he answered. And I went back to work for the first time out of the home. I've been freelancing for about 16 years in February. So our lives have significantly changed. And I wanted to know the impact on him, but I really didn't because it's going to be some hard changes for me to make sure that I meet what he needs. And so I think that that's the way we have to look at everything. We have to ask those hard questions. We have to say, where am I racist? What in my daily life, what do I cover that doesn't include all the diversity in our community? We have to ask those questions, and that's a way to make a change. So.
All right, and now that you've had a chance to get to know our panelists, does anyone have any questions? Well, that's a first. All right. I would like to bring Christy Pankratz up here for just a little bit. Christy, as we're talking about business and character and how it relates, if you could tell us about the services from Safe Streets regarding how businesses can get involved within the community.
Well, these ladies have done an outstanding job of giving different options of things that people can do. And we also have our partners with Heartland Visioning here, John Hunter and Kristen. If you're interested in getting involved with their organization, I'm sure they would be glad to have you attend. Safe Streets is a proud supporter of them too. There are many different organizations represented here today, and all of us offer different services and different things for everyone. So I think coming together and talking, as you said, is an excellent way to do. Some of the things Safe Streets can do are, I mentioned earlier, we have some safe management property training, we have some ways to bring businesses together, we have different services, but I think, and we're happy to help you with any of those, but I think all of you here today are doing great work, and I think continuing the conversation is what's going to be important moving forward. So I just want to thank all of you for coming here, and you sure there are no questions? There's like this 30-second rule that if I wait 30 seconds with dead silence, somebody will pop up with a question. So I'm half tempted. Yes, sir. Would you mind saying that?
I would be interested in just finding out where can we get more information about the community discussions on race.
Okay, the first one is tonight at 7 o'clock. I have it on my calendar. I think it's at Washburn University, but I mean, check those details.
I think
is
it
it
was
what?
It was last night.
Ah, let's see. Well, day late and a dollar short. So yes, there are several more scheduled, and they're on the website.
I could.
I know NetReach is next week in the High Crest area. That one is at 5:30 at the what used to be Avondale East, and now it's kind of a community building, but NetReach is in that building, and that one is next week, 5:30 on Tuesday night. That's our usual Taco Tuesday night. So.
And Christy says they'll send the schedule out to the coalition. So if you've got your email down on the list there, you'll get a copy of it. So very good. Any more questions? All right, well, we really want to thank all of our guests today, especially our panelists here, Melissa Jarbo with the Military Veteran Project, Cindy Patton with Patton & Patton, and Morgan Chilson with the Topeka Capital Journal. Thank you so much for coming out. Please be sure to fill out the surveys on your table so we can craft this to be as strong as it can be for you. And thank you for coming here to make Topeka and Shawnee County the safest capital community.